Renaissance Community, all is well? And all is in divine order. I'm listening last night, not because I want to, at the loud fireworks going off. They were loud, shaking the house, destroying my sense of peace. But they're just going off. And so I had to walk over to the window and see the fireworks. And what I recognize is that so many times we're in this mood of being like a firework, where we need to be lit. I'm not talking about that kind of lit. Challenge the style. Boy, y'all something, boy. Get out of the world, y'all. Come on with me on this spiritual journey. But sometimes we have to be lit. And in the process of being lit, we can reach a new height. And so it's like I woke up this morning and I was thinking about the old song, Lord, lift us up where we belong. Remember that song? Where the eagles fly on mountain high? Lord, lift us up where we belong. Don't you get this sense that you're supposed to be at a higher level at some points in your life, just going higher, higher, and higher? I've seen where I'm at right now, and I think I can go a little bit higher. Anybody feel like that? I feel like that right now. Like I'm at a certain point in life, but I think I can go higher. And so I want to go higher on this mountaintop. But I know to go higher, I've got to get lit. Yeah, come out the bar, y'all. Come on. But it's the takeoff. The takeoff. And we're in this Independence Day, 4th of July mode right now. And there's certain times of the year where you just got to say, I declare my freedom. I declare my independence. I declare that I can go to a higher level in Christ, through Christ that lives within me. I am the Christ. I am one with God. And so if I'm one with God, I'm limitless in capability, capacity. And so with that spirit, I ask you to rise to your feet. You knew it was coming. We did a workshop last Sunday. And the turnout was tremendous, so thank you for being there if you were present. But one of the things we talked about was common denominators. And common denominators in this community is we all expect more. And it's that expectancy that energizes us from second to second, minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day. It's an expectancy. Because we know that there is an allegiance and alliance with the Almighty, right? And with that, we know the greater things are ours to be, to do, and to have. Is that right? I want to make sure I'm in the right house this morning. Now, we talked about trauma. Remember that? Trauma. And trauma creates havoc for us, doesn't it? Because trauma, and I can go into the medical definition of it, because that's my field, psychology and counseling. But I won't. Because trauma, as we realized last week, trauma is just one of those situations that were unexpected, uninvited, that came into our life and jarred our life. It was something that we never asked for. It's like if I could play God for a day, I would not have let that happen. Never, never, never in my life. And the thing about it is that it's egotistical in nature to think that some things that are going to happen as a natural law of life are going to come into our life, knock on our door and say, it's time. And we say, I'm not ready. Right? We've seen it. I've had those things. You know some things about my life. Unexpected. Knock, knock, knock. Time to take away your father. Knock, knock, knock. Time to take away your mother. Knock, knock, knock. Time to take away your brother. Knock, knock, knock. Time to take away your twin sister as you plan your 50th birthday together. I'm not ready. It's unexpected. It's uninvited, but it's here. And it causes us trauma, right? All of us have those uninvited, unexpected situations in our life. Trauma. But then we have the scenario where sometimes we let the ego step in too long and say, because of the trauma I experienced that was uninvited, unexpected, undesired, I'm going to show the universe that this should not have happened to me. And so I must feed my ego to show everybody that this was not supposed to happen to me. The diagnosis was not supposed to happen. The condition was not supposed to happen. The divorce was not supposed to happen. The loss of job was not supposed to happen. The loss of my mobility was not supposed to happen. The bankruptcy was not supposed to happen. But it did. And now I've got to show the universe. I've got to feed my ego. Because this was a bad case scenario, a worst case scenario. And I didn't like it. God, if you care about me, how'd you let such a thing happen? I'm going to show you. I can disassociate with you too. Anybody ever been there? Where you say, God, I'm going to detach from you too, because you let me down. You let the uninvited, the unanticipated, the unexpected, the undesirable happen. You're supposed to be on watch 24/7, 365, 366 days if it's a leap year. And you left your post. When you left your post, bad things happen. What's that book? Bad Things Happen to Good People. Anybody in here good and something bad happened to you? That sometimes happens. And that what hurts us most, when the people that we consider bad, something good happens to them. Like, gosh almighty, I read my Bible, I go to church, I'm in the choir, and that joker who is just turning it up. And so it is, we do. We teeter-totter in our relationship, our spirituality, our religion. Do I believe? Or should I just walk away? Can I just take a break? Whoever took a break from God, raise your hand. I took a break from God. I remember the first time I took a break from God, it was in college. All the different distractions in college, I'm like, oh, I ain't got time to go to church. I put the Bible in the drawer because I didn't want to be doing things and the Bible was next to me. Or Wilma will say, well, the truth will set you free. But in the trauma, we have to realize we have a choice. Because in the trauma, we can live in regrets, but the regrets cause regression, and the regression stops our progress. See, we're here to align with a higher being. And see, the test comes to see, are you serious about aligning with the higher self, the higher being, the Christ, the God? Are you still believing in those miracles? Are you able to declare yourself free from whatever has you in bondage at that moment? Whatever has you oppressed. It's the choice. Trauma becomes one of two things. Trauma becomes your alibi or the answer to why you move forward in hope. So what do you want to have this morning? Do you want to have the alibi or the answer? See, the alibi, you know those people. Because they'll go back and you'll ask them something, how you doing today? And they'll say, not so good. I'm trying to make a better thing out of a bad situation. Anybody ever say that? I'm just trying to make a better thing out of a bad situation. But what if the bad situation was just there for you to align to a higher force? What if the bad situation wasn't for you to have an alibi? It's to come up with an expanded explanation, which is the answer. What if that's the case? What if it is, Reverend Wilmer? I don't want to have the alibi for why I'm not moving forward, why I'm not expanding. What if it's the case, Leah, that situation, undesired, uninvited, was there so you can solve the issue and have an answer. And so the answer makes you more valuable because you become the angel for someone else. What if that's our duty and responsibility, to elevate to a higher and higher level so we become the angel, the answer for somebody else who's going through the situation, the scenario that we find ourselves dealing with? What if it is? So what if we said this morning we don't want any more alibis, just the answers? What was that old show, Dragnet? Just the facts. Y'all old. I remember that, Michael. So this declaration, affirmation, think about it. The first line of it. I shall live in the spirit of freedom. No, don't say it yet. Just let it sink in. I shall live in the spirit. Freedom. Now let's say it together. I shall live in the spirit. Freedom. I shall walk in the spirit. Radiating love, joy, peace, and divine righteousness. I shall use my freedom to serve and uplift others, fulfilling the divine law of love. I shall forever declare that freedom is my divine birthright. You may be seated. Making the best out of a bad situation. Think about that. How many times have we whispered that or heard that said? We've said it ourselves. Think about it. I'm going to make the best out of a bad situation. The trauma is real. I don't want you to go away saying he doesn't believe that trauma is real, because trauma is real. And I've studied trauma for over 26 years now. And because of that, I'm supposed to be a trauma specialist. And because of that, I know that the feelings and emotions associated with trauma are real. Trauma does cause drama. Can we all say that calmly? Calmly say it. Calmly say it. Trauma causes drama. But I'm in a recovery mode. Now, in 1 Peter, 2nd chapter, verse 16, it says something. Live as people who are free, not using your freedom as a cover-up for evil, but living as servants of God. Do we need to break that down? Of course we do. Live as people who are free. Do you feel free right now? To do, be, have, whatever you want? Or do you sense limitations? Some heads are like going like this. So if your head is going like that means you don't feel free. So there's some things that's got me tied down, bogged down, and I just don't feel like I'm controlling my own destination in life. Anybody who feels like that, you know? There's certain people I'm responsible for, and because of those responsibilities, I can't do what I want, go where I want, spend the way I want. Most people, when you talk to them, they feel this sense of, I'm not free. I'm kind of tied down, bogged down, bothered by some things that just won't let me express my divine self. Anybody feels like that? Like I've just touched the tip of the iceberg on expressing who I really am, my authentic self, unbridled self, unharnessed self. Not using your freedom as a cover-up for evil. What is evil right there? What is evil? Unfulfillment? Error thinking? Lack? Out of alignment? Evil. Evil is your interpretation of something that's inconsistent with what you think should be the consistency in your life. You understand that? That's you predicated. I think the world should be a certain way. And through my lens, there's good and evil. And when I see something not expressing itself as good, that means evil, right? It's inconsistent with what I think the world should be. Everybody has an opinion on how the world should be, right? Everybody has an opinion on how somebody should act. Scientists say 95% of your time is spent on judging, trying to course correct someone else. Ain't that amazing? It's got me tearing up the English language. Ain't it amazing? Isn't it? 95% of your time is spent on trying to control, manage someone else. So that means it's about 5% spent on yourself. It begs me to say, right, Debbie? It's time for you to mind your own business. Is anybody offended by that? Take me to dinner and tell me about it. Y'all know my favorite spot, P.F. Chang's. I'm easy. But it does, doesn't it? 95% of your time is spent in somebody else's business. Steve, it's time to mind your own business. Steve is my voice, so I can say that. Cover up. Live as people who are free, not using your freedom as a cover up for evil. Why do we put that in there? Why is that in there? Cover up for evil. Why is it a cover up? A disguise. Meaning what? You're faking. You're not authentic. You're not keeping it real. What's young people say, you're not keeping it 100. What is it? It's a cover-up. How many of us can't say that we're really authentic from day to day, that we're really authentic? How many of you can say you live an authentic life? If you got to go through that, she's like, oh, yeah. That means no. So, cover up means we need the freedom to express who we are. The divine expression that we're supposed to be, if it's covered up because we're living to please someone else, to be accepted by someone else, what does the Bible say? Acceptable by who? Yourself. You search and find yourself to be acceptable, but living as servants of God. What does that mean? We're going deeper into our teaching this year. Live as people who are free. And that's the divine decree, divine order. Live as though you're free, limitless, but powerful. What if you were to take on that persona that I am free, I am powerful, I'm a divine expression of God, linked with God, aligned with God, and because of that alignment, I can do all things through the Christ that strengthens me. What if you were to do that for the next 24 hours? What if you were just to focus in on me, the divine me that is my most powerful self, my most elevated self, and in that 24-hour period, see no limitations. Just be totally authentic. Every week we ask you, what do you want to manifest? Be real, be true to yourself. What is it at this age and stage in your life that you really want to manifest? And what if we say for 24 hours, live like that? Live in that zone, that frequency of power, connection, alignment. What if we were to try that for 24 hours? That's the challenge today. Can you do it for 24 hours? Put your ego aside. Put your side eye aside. Because your side eye tells you somebody's watching me. And there's always that notion that somebody's watching me that slows me up from moving faster to the thing that I want to emerge as, to expand as. Somebody's watching me. And what if I was to choose to do my life just a little bit different than what they've become accustomed to? What would happen? Would they disown me? Would they intervene and ask me, what's wrong with you? How dare you try that at 60, 70? What if we were to do this thing for 24 hours, not engaged in a cover-up? Could we do that? To just be, as R.C. Sproul says, to just be holy like God. What is it? Are you holy? Raise your hand if you think you're holy. All of us are holy. It's just a display of holiness. It's like Jesus said, I am holy. What is holy? Set apart. What are you set apart from? The world and worldly things that interfere with me. To be holy is the other. I am the other. What if you were to try that on and say, I am the other? Try that. Try it. I am the other. You say, what I think, there's so many people being like everybody else. I am the other option. I am the alternative. I am other. I am set apart. I am supposed to be different from the world. I am set apart. If I'm set apart, what am I doing? I'm thinking at a higher and higher level of consciousness. And it's through that conscious lens that I make decisions. Frank Butterfield talked about this concept of contrast. Can we say contrast? Contrast. What if trauma is intentional? What if trauma is put on you by God as a way to get you to see contrast? Let that sink in. She said, that's a new one. Trauma leads to the ability to see, to feel, to make choices about contrasting things. You ever thought about that? Contrast. So we miss the contrast because we're so busy putting the label on it, the negative label. That shouldn't have happened to me. In a perfect world, that shouldn't happen to anybody. Death, divorce, All those things. Contrast. Do we need contrast in our life? Yes, we need contrast. We need to be able to have that situation that forces us to make choices. And sometimes we make choices out of scarce moments and scared moments. Scarce moments and scared moments. You know what I'm talking about? That time where you were just scared that if you didn't choose a different direction to go in, to flow in, that something bad was going to continue to happen. I'm scared. My father drank all of his life, had an issue. But one day they said, you have diabetes. And the rate you're going, we're going to have to cut off your right leg. Daddy came home and never drank again. There was no 12-step program for him. He was scared. And there's been situations like that for me as well. I'm not immune to those times where I'm just scared to the point where I got to do something different. Anybody ever been scared to the point where you knew you had to do something different? It's amazing how we'll say we can't give up this, can't give up that, but then somebody tells you if you don't, and so that's what we're talking about. Contrast. The trauma leads us to know that there is something different. There is another option. Now, as I said, you can feed the ego and go with that situation, well, I'm just old. I'm going to eat what I want, drink what I want, because I'm just old. But if it's hurting you, you're making a choice, right? Because you're making a comparative analysis. I like saying that word. I'm making a comparative analysis. Either I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. What we say, Daisy? Either you're going to get with this, or you're going to get with that. Shouldn't you know that song? And so it is. I can keep on doing what I'm doing and getting the same results, which is what? Insanity. Keeping on doing what you're doing and expecting different results is insanity. But we keep on doing it, right? We keep on doing what we're doing from day to day, and we keep getting the same results day to day, and then we wonder why. And you're not crazy, right? No, you're not crazy. But at the same time, you're not taking the chance to make the contrast and realize there is a choice. And so we go back and we say, Lord, lift me up to where I'm supposed to be, where I belong. I'm supposed to be at a higher level. And so because of that, I need help. And so it's in that contrast that we begin to think about what is it that I need. And that's when we make the decision that it's time to break free from whatever has us in lockdown, whatever has us living under the radar, whatever has us performing at a lower level than we're capable of, whatever has us not chasing our dreams. If you're not chasing your dreams, you're probably living a little nightmare. And the nightmare comes because you know I'm not living up to my own dreams, my own capacity. That's what hurts us more than anything else when we have this standard, this vision, this dream in our mind. Last night was so funny. I had 2 hours of sleep. But my body is such that I dive into REM sleep. And in this dream, I saw my brother. My brother passed away 15, 20 years ago. But I saw him in the living room of our old house. He had on this wrinkled white shirt and these black faded pants. And I looked at him from the dining room and I said, do you need anything? And he uttered back, Reverend Wilmer, no, but do you need anything? Do you need a hand to move forward? I jumped up at that moment. And I don't know if a dream has ever startled you. Have you ever been startled by a dream? And when a dream becomes so vivid, so real, it just startles you to the point where you get up and you just pace the floor. And so that's what I did. I went into the restroom, then I went downstairs, and then I started writing. Do you need a hand? Do you need to be freed from the bondage that you're in? Because the bondage is oppressing and suppressing who you really are. Understand this. And so the declaration of freedom began to say it's a 3-step process: unification, accentuating, and action, all in the spirit of freedom. Can we say that together? Unification, accentuating, and action in a spirit of freedom. Now let's break this down. Can we do that? Unification. I am one with Christ in the divine essence of the universe. We say that all the time. I am one with Christ, and I am divine essence of the universe. Unification with that means that it's more than just lip service. It's actually living like I am one with the Christ. And it's through that oneness I become healthy, I become whole. I don't see myself as pieces of a larger dream. Unification is alignment. Alignment with the oneness, the one Christ, the one God, one Spirit. That is us, that lives in us. Not outside of us, but inside of us. And so we don't need to connect with somebody in another state, another country. It's right present in you. Accentuating. I will celebrate and magnify the glorious freedom Christ has given me. Accentuating. Celebration. Gratefulness. Gratitude. Why does that make a difference? Because attitude is everything. Attitude is everything. If I have a negative attitude, a negative sway to me, that's what I attract. As a man thinketh, so he is. And as I act, the universe answers. Can we say that? As I act, the universe answers. It means that if I put out the negative vibe, what has to return to me? The universe has to respond to any energy that you provide, whether it's negative or positive. It doesn't care. It just has to be a corresponding effect. Once we understand that, your energy level rises. The spirit of gratitude lifts you up to a higher level of thought, of mind, action. You'll never see me down, depressed, because I know there's a lesson in that, and I'm excited about the lesson. And so when death does us apart, I know we're not separated. But you got to understand this. I got to accentuate this thing called life. I got to take it to a higher level of understanding. Because if my mode of operation is wait and see, let's see, how many people work like that? It's a let's see spirit about you. How many of y'all operate like that? Most people I know is, well, let's see. I can give a heck of a sermon message, motivational speech, inspirational speech anywhere in the country. And there's still 70% of the audience saying, well, that was good, but I don't know about me. Let's see. And so when there's indifference, the universe gives you indifference. You understand? So if you're unsure, the universe is unsure because it's not sure that you can handle what you think you want. That's one of the worst things that happen. You arrive somewhere too early and you can't handle it. And we see it all the time. People rise to their field, their profession. All of a sudden it's too early. And because of the stress, the responsibilities to it, what happens? They turn up. They shoot up. And so a lot of us are like that too. We do it. And so I ask you this morning, what's your pacifier? What's your pacifier? What's the thing that you use to pacify yourself in the unknown situations? That's the tough part of this thing. So everybody's turning up. So accentuating the positive side of life, the answer that's coming, instead of thinking about, I got to develop the alibi because somebody's going to ask me, why have I been stuck in that predicament for so long? And I have to be able to hide, cover up, protect my ego and say, here's my alibi. It's one of those, well, you see, when I was 5. And we do that, don't we? Why don't you ride the bike? God told me, well, I'd never ride a bike now. He said when I was 7 years old, there's some uneven pavement, and I slipped, tripped, and fell. You were 70. The conditions change if you work with them. Action. Remember we said unification, accentuating, and action. Action-oriented. I shall live out this freedom dynamically, serving God and others with a spirit of love and joy. It always is a return to love and joy in the spirit of love and joy. Accentuating love and joy. That's what it's all about, the universe. All of us are agents of love, right? And we know this. But how many times have we let the trauma and the drama of the past prevent us from expressing love? Some people that are around us now, they can't hug. They can't kiss. They can't express through words that they love. But wait till that moment. That unexpected moment comes when disaster hits. And you haven't told that person you love them. You haven't hugged and held that person and say, I love you. You haven't given that person a kiss to let them know, I really do love you. It's freedom. It's freedom that we seek constantly. Freedom to move forward in spite of what we sense or what we see, what we feel, what we taste. It's freedom. Freedom to become. Freedom to be. Freedom to behave in a manner that lets everyone know that I'm connected to the Almighty Christ. May we stand. I've learned through 60-some years of living now that it's not enough to say words. They need to be expressed. I'd rather see a sermon lived than to hear one preached. But y'all get that? It's like that old saying, Cindy, you can talk a good game, but I'd rather see you play the game. If you're a singer, sing. If you're a writer, write. If you're a teacher, teach. If you believe in love, love. And let love be enjoyable. Can you repeat after me? Freedom to become, freedom to be, freedom to behave. Freedom to become, I am free to become the highest expression of my divine potential, growing and evolving in Christ every day. Freedom to be. I will be my authentic, divinely inspired self, living boldly and freely in the love of Christ. Freedom to behave. I shall behave as a liberated soul, walking in divine righteousness and spreading the light of Christ wherever I go. I want you to look at somebody and say, I'm free to be me. And with that freedom to be me, I pledge to express my very best self. Limitless, prosperous, healthy, good, and loving. Full of joy, peace, and success that makes me significant. And I am successful and significant at whatever I choose to be, to do, or to seek. And so it is. Amen. Thank you for having me this morning, Renaissance Student. I love you.